name's Showbay Platt, and today I show you how to make raspberry liqueur. So let's go. So gang, today since I've been getting back in the mood making stuff, I thought I would make some homemade liqueur, specifically raspberry liqueur. When I first started this channel, I made a ton of liqueurs, peach schnapps, peppermint schnapps, limoncello, apple pie moonshine, just to name a few. I will leave a link here to the playlist, so if you're into homemade liqueurs, I got tons of videos for you. But like I said, it's been a little while, so I thought I'd jump back in with something fairly easy and something that I think most people like, and that is raspberry liqueur. Now, if you've seen some of my videos in the past, we're going to do something a little different today. In the past, I would take a neutral spirit like, this vodka here, macerate whatever flavor I'm trying to get out. With peach schnapps, it's the peaches. With limoncello, it's lemon, lemon peel, what have you. And then I would come back and add basically a simple syrup, equal parts sugar and water to it. I did that A, because it was simple, and B, too, it would cut down the proof. Generally, I was taking an 80 proof spirit, and then by the time I was done, we were going to end around 40 proof or 20% alcohol by volume. That made it more kind of like a shot. It was a something that just wasn't going to hit you as hard. It could be a fun little shooter type thing, or a complimentary spirit in a cocktail. We're going to do something a little different today, and we should end up with a product that's close to 80 proof. So this is going to be a little stronger product than we normally do, but I want to give you the heads up on that. Real quick, what do we need to make our raspberry liqueur? This is a fairly simple recipe. First, you're going to need some vodka. I'm using a 375 milliliter bottle. Back in the day, we referred to them as pints. They're not a true pint, but that was the closest thing. So 375 milliliter of vodka. You want roughly about a quart jar to give you a little extra room. You'll want some cane sugar. Regular table sugar will work just fine. And then some fresh raspberries. These are kind of the standardized packaging for raspberries you'll find in most of your big box stores and your local grocery stores. I think it comes out to roughly like 6 ounces of raspberries. Whether you want organic or not, that's up to you. That's up to you. I don't have to tell you, price has gone up a little bit, so that is your decision. But anyway, those are the basic ingredients we have for this recipe. If you've never made homemade liqueurs before, they're really great. They're simple, like this one, but once you get 2 or 3 down, 2 or 3 done, then you could really kind of expand your repertoire. And if you're someone who's kind of a cook, or have a certain culinary sense, really the sky's the limit once you get 2 or 3 of these down. So with that being said, let's make some raspberry liqueur. Alright, so let's get this party started. We are going to start off with our raspberries at first. We're just going to put the whole container in. No need to overthink this. Make sure you have a clean jar, but you don't have to worry about sanitation too much. We're putting a high proof spirit in. This is a little different than home brewing, where you're worried about sanitation a little bit more because of the yeast or whatever. Here we don't have quite the concerns. Real quick, for those of you that might not be familiar with raspberry liqueur or not sure what it is, probably the 2 most popular brands out there are Chambord, which is a higher end French raspberry liqueur, and then there's a kind of a lower end version called Razzmatazz. So if you see those in your liquor store or whatever, we're shooting for something like that. Chambord will probably be a little darker than what we're going to come up with. They're allowed to use coloring, stuff like that. But anyway, as far as flavor profiles, that's kind of in the vein that we're going for. Anyway, we got our raspberries in. And next we're going to put in a half a cup of sugar. This is where I'm going a little different from the past, because I would have created basically a simple syrup. And the additional water that's where the proof would have been cut. Here, because we're not doing that, we're not cutting the proof necessarily. Set that aside. Real quick, if you want a bigger version of this, the simpler thing is 1 cup of sugar, a 750 milliliter, and then a second container of the raspberries in just a bigger jar. So if you're wanting to size up, that is probably the easiest way to go. And then we're just going to fill our container with our vodka. See, we got plenty of headspace here. Put our lid on. And we're going to give it a good shake. We don't want to shake too hard. We're not trying to tear up the berries. We're more just wanting to get that sugar mixed in. Might want to give her a couple of these. Just make sure we get all that sugar off the bottom. All right. That should be good right there. Now what we're going to do is let this sit for roughly about 2 weeks. You would want to come back after about a week and taste. Raspberries are fruit that really allow vodka or whatever spirit, we're going with vodka, but really allow spirit to pull off that flavor fairly quickly. This is not something, certain fruits, need a little longer time to extract. But we're going to let this go for a couple of weeks, but after about 1 week, come back and try. And then once we get the flavor we want, then we'll come back to filter and kind of discuss the rest of it. So I will see you guys in 2 weeks. All right, gang, so it's been a couple of weeks, and you can tell, man, do we have a nice, pretty red color. No sediment on the bottom. The sugar's fully absorbed. The berries still look in pretty good shape. None of them started deteriorating. So our next step is to filter. I'm just going to use a generic kind of kitchen strainer. You can use cheesecloth if you want. I sometimes use these brew in the bag bags. They're kind of a polyethylene or something like that, or poly something. It's a plastic, reusable. You can wash them. Those are good. I wouldn't use a coffee filter, probably a little too fine for our purposes here. You could use a hot bag, but you'll definitely end up staining it. Probably wouldn't be able to reuse it again, but that is definitely an option there. So let's go ahead and filter this. Whew! You can still smell the alcohol in there. I'm going to pour this. We should end up with roughly about a pint total. The raspberries are obviously going to absorb some, and some of the alcohol. As far as proof-wise, we've probably dropped to the low to mid-70s. Again, the berries are going to absorb some. We've added some sugar. But this is definitely going to be stronger than a lot of the liqueurs you'll see on the shelves that are generally 40 to 60% range. We're going to be definitely a little higher than that. All right, we'll set our berries off to the side. Kind of top that off. We'll leave a little for ourselves. All right, let's give this a try. Like I said, boy, nice and clean. Get the berry a little bit on the nose. Let's give her a try. Woo, that is nice. Boy, that's actually pretty mellow. It tamed down. If you just drink raw 80 proof spirit, it gets a little hot. Don't get me wrong. There's a little warming feeling down the center of my chest, but it's not hot at all. You pick up that raspberry, a little bit of sweetness, but it's not too sweet. It's definitely not as viscous as a generic liqueur. Man, that is pretty nice. I could almost drink that just like on the rocks or whatever. If you do like your liqueurs a tad bit sweeter, one of the adjustments I would make would be, instead of just adding in the half cup of sugar we did before, I believe that was right. Yeah, half cup of sugar. Instead of just adding just a half cup of sugar, you could do an entire cup of sugar with a cup of water, kind of make a simple syrup off to the side, and then add with the macerated, the vodka that's been macerated with the raspberries. You can do that. You would end up dropping your ABV to that 40, 40, 50 range. You would definitely have a more viscous liqueur, but it'd be sweeter. One of the questions I will get on these liqueurs too is how long is it good for? Well, because we're at close to 80 proof, in the mid 70s, it's not going to spoil as far as like bacteria get into it or any kind of microbial action. That won't be an issue. Probably after 6 months or so, though, you probably will start losing flavor a little bit. I'm going to say if you consume it within a year, you should be good. After a year, will you still taste it? Will it still get you drunk? Yeah, but you're definitely going to lose quality as far as the flavor profile. So 6 months to a year, hopefully with roughly a pint's worth over the next 6 months to a year, you can definitely finish that off. But man, it turned out real nice. It's something you could drink alone, or definitely this would probably be real nice to use in like a lemon drop instead of like a citrus vodka. Maybe this raspberry liqueur instead. Probably make you a pretty nice lemon drop martini. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or any suggestions for videos, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.